What does it take for a highly sensitive person to feel loved and understood? In this video, let's explore 6 of my favorite methods to build a healthy, thriving relationship with one of the world's deepest feelers. Without this first tip, you'll be like 2 ships passing in the night. Because highly sensitive people, or HSPs as we'll be calling them in this video, process everything really deeply, and it's not just emotional. Think of it like senses on steroids, a biological difference in their nervous system. So they tend to get overwhelmed a lot faster than those who aren't as sensitive. For example, the hum of fluorescent lights or the tapping of a pen can be extremely irritating. But these distractions might not even register with non-HSPs, which can make sensitive people feel like something is fundamentally wrong with them. That's why this first step for you as a non-HSP partner is simply to be aware. But in case you're like, okay, cool, I got all I needed from the video, hang on a second, because just being aware of your partner's sensitivity isn't enough. Take what happened to my highly sensitive friend when she was dating her now husband. On one of their first dates, he took her to see Midsummer in theaters. When it got to that heart-wrenching scene where Florence Pugh is on the ground with all of the women of the village and they're grieving and screaming and crying together, he glanced over to see my friend just weeping. The movie was so disturbing that she was completely overwhelmed. Now, not only does he know better, but he accommodates her sensitivities. So date nights are less Midsummer and more Little Mermaid. But sometimes it can be hard to even know what your partner would prefer, not with just movies, but with needs, desires, and values. The reason for this is a psychology concept called insecure attachment style, which HSPs are statistically more likely to have. So imagine you have a special stuffed animal. This is mine. This is Bob. I've had him since I was a little kid. If you have an insecure attachment style, you might be worried that someone is gonna take Bob away from you. Please don't take him. He's my best friend. It's the same thing in a relationship. You're worried that your partner won't be there for you when you need them. So you throw yourself into people pleasing. And if you're familiar with the Enneagram, it's a lot like the type 9's core weakness of sloth. This makes it easy to lose your sense of self, which is why tip number 2 is so important. Validate your partner's emotions and experiences. It's okay to have these fears, but remind them like, hey, I got your back no matter what. I'm not gonna take Bob away from you. But sometimes you'll feel like their feelings are totally out of left field. It's why this next tip can make or break a relationship. In our society, sensitivity is generally portrayed as a weakness, but I wanna challenge you here. Put yourself in your sensitive partner's shoes. Everything, all the time, overwhelms you, but you still show up every day. The truth is, it takes a lot of strength to manage the intensity through which they experience the world. So it wouldn't really be a helpful tip if I was like, avoid telling your partner they're too sensitive. Instead, I think it would be helpful to affirm the strength that you see in them. It's easy to do if you pay attention, which is something that if you've been dating or married to an HSP long enough, you'll know that your partner does really well. They'll notice if you didn't sleep well last night, or if you get a text message that totally alters your mood. They'll respond to these signs by trying to alleviate the pain, by saying something encouraging or taking chores off of your plate so that you can go take a nap. But too often, HSPs feel like you don't return the favor. Partly because you're just not as in tune with other people's emotions and needs. I'm not saying that you're not empathetic, just that it's not as present as it is for the HSP. But I'm not asking you to be psychic, because it's important for all of us to speak up and let our loved ones know, hey, this is what I need. However, do your best to pay attention to your HSP and return the favor. But maybe you're looking for a way to show your partner love right now. Well, you're in luck, because you can start and jump into action using what's around you. I cannot emphasize this enough, but when you're highly sensitive, it's so important to have a safe space where you can unwind. But that doesn't mean your home has to look like Architectural Digest. You can start by cleaning up the kitchen or putting blackout curtains in the bedroom so that you make this cozy, dark space. If you live in a noisy neighborhood, maybe invest in soundproofing or get your partner some noise-canceling headphones. You could also get them a really soft blanket or sweatshirt or something to just wrap up in and feel safe. The important thing is that you tend to the 5 senses. Everything they touch, see, feel, hear, and smell causes them to feel emotionally and physically drained for hours or maybe even days afterwards. But when HSPs get really busy in their work or private lives, this amplifies to a crazy degree. So there's a couple things you can do to support your partner in times like this. First, just being aware that their capacity for stimulation is even lower than normal. For example, if you guys have to go to a social event, let them know that leaving early is totally an option, even if they leave before you do. I know for extroverts, this can be upsetting because you want your partner around, and you should want your partner around. That's what love is. But when HSPs are overstimulated, they lose the ability to communicate what's going on inside. So secondly, give them grace if they need to be even more protective of their space and time than normal. It's not that they don't love you, it's just that they need more recharging time. But if you still feel like you don't understand where your partner's coming from, it's a good strategy to understand more about what makes a highly sensitive person, which is what I'll walk you through in this next video.